Mega History Presence.
Paris, December 2, 1804. Dawn breaks over Notre Dame Cathedral, its Gothic spires draped in crimson velvet and imperial gold. Inside, 20,000 candles flicker as Europe's nobility, diplomats, and generals wait in breathless silence. At the altar, Pope Pius VII sits stiffly, his face a mask of resignation. The air thrums with tension, not of devotion, but of raw political theatre. Suddenly, trumpets blare. A small man in white satin strides forward, clutching a golden laurel wreath. He stops before the Pope, seizes the crown, and turns to face the crowd. In one defiant motion, Napoleon Bonaparte places the crown upon his own head, then crowns his kneeling wife, Josephine. No divine sanction, no papal blessing, just a Corsican soldier proclaiming himself Emperor of the French. This moment, dripping with sacred symbolism and sacrilegious audacity, marks the zenith of Napoleon's power. Yet behind the glitter lies a darker truth: empires built on conquest are destined to bleed. From the frozen battlefields of Austerlitz to the shattered peace of Tilsit, this is the story of how Napoleon reshaped Europe with cannon fire and crowned himself its master, only to plant the seeds of his own ruin. Napoleon's coronation was a masterpiece of propaganda, meticulously staged to legitimize his rule. He commissioned Jacques-Louis David to immortalize the event, instructing him, "Paint not what happened, but what should have happened." The result erased inconvenient truths, like Josephine's tearful panic when her coronation robe snagged, or Napoleon's refusal to kneel before the Pope. "I will not play the penitent before any man," he declared. Instead, David depicted Pius VII as a passive spectator, his hands resting limply while Napoleon wielded the crown like a conqueror's trophy. The symbolism was revolutionary. By crowning himself, Napoleon broke a 1,000-year tradition of monarchs anointed by God. His crown, modelled on Charlemagne's, claimed lineage not from Bourbon kings but from the Frankish emperor who united Europe. The message was clear. Napoleon owed his throne to merit, not birth, to the will of the people, not divine right. Yet contradictions abounded. He reinstated court rituals Louis XVI had abandoned, creating a new nobility bound to him. "I make nobles, but they are my nobles," he boasted. His sisters raged when forced to carry Josephine's train. His mother, Letizia, boycotted the ceremony, whispering, "If only it lasts." Even as Paris celebrated, Austria and Russia mobilized. By August 1805, 200,000 enemy troops marched toward France. Napoleon abandoned plans to invade England, wheeled his Grande Army eastward, and met the coalition at Austerlitz, modern-day Slavkov, Czech Republic. The battle, fought on December 2, 1805, exactly 1 year after his coronation, became his masterpiece. Napoleon feigned weakness, abandoning the strategic Pratzen heights. Enticed, the Allies poured troops onto the plain. At dawn, fog clung to the fields. "Watch the sun rise," Napoleon told his marshals. "It will burn away the fog and their hopes." As sunlight pierced the mist, his hidden artillery erupted. Marshal Soult's divisions retook the heights, splitting the enemy. Russian infantry fled across frozen lakes. Napoleon ordered cannons to shatter the ice, drowning thousands. By noon, the Allies were annihilated. Tsar Alexander fled, weeping. Emperor Francis sued for peace. Napoleon's bulletin to Paris was laconic: 80 flags, 100 cannons, 30,000 prisoners. Europe dubbed it the Battle of Three Emperors, and Napoleon, at 36, stood supreme. Prussia, neutral at Austerlitz, grew fearful of Napoleon's might. In October 1806, it joined Russia against France. Napoleon struck with terrifying speed. In 19 days, his army covered 600 miles, encircling Prussia's vaunted forces. At Jena, Napoleon crushed Prince Hohenlohe's army while Marshal Davout, outnumbered 3-1, routed the main Prussian force at Austerlitz. The victory exposed Prussia's decay. Napoleon marched unopposed into Berlin, where he visited the tomb of Frederick the Great. "Hats off, gentlemen," he murmured. "If he were alive, we would not be here." He seized Prussia's treasures, including Frederick's sword, and issued the Berlin Decrees, banning all trade with Britain, the Continental System, designed to strangle his last rival. But the triumph held a warning. At Jena, Napoleon saw Prussian peasants cheering his troops. "They hate their kings more than they fear us," he noted. Yet his own soldiers, exhausted and unpaid, looted villages. Disciplined frayed, the liberator was becoming an occupier. The Continental System was Napoleon's grandest gamble, a bloodless war to cripple Britain by closing European ports to its goods. But economics proved harder to master than battlefields. Smugglers flourished, neutral ships flew false flags. When Portugal defied the blockade, Napoleon invaded, triggering the disastrous Peninsular War. In 1807, he pressured Russia into the Treaty of Tilsit, forcing Tsar Alexander to join the embargo. The meeting was a surreal spectacle. The two emperors embraced on a raft in the Niemen River, pledging friendship while plotting betrayal. The human cost was catastrophic. French industries boomed, but Europe starved. British blockades halted grain shipments, coffee and sugar vanished. In Flanders, workers rioted. In Italy, child mortality soared. Napoleon's solution: ruthless enforcement. He annexed Holland, jailed his own brother Louis for laxity, and ordered seizures of British contraband, which included innocents. As Napoleon's empire expanded, his marriage collapsed. Josephine, now empress, hosted lavish balls at Malmaison but failed to produce an heir. Napoleon's affairs multiplied: actresses, aristocrats, even a Polish countess, Marie Waluska, who bore him a son. "My dynasty needs blood," he told Josephine. On December 15, 1809, he invoked his own civil code to divorce her. The court wept as Josephine, voice-breaking, pledged loyalty. Napoleon sobbed that night, but by April 1810, he married Marie-Louise of Austria, daughter of his enemy Emperor Francis. The union was pure realpolitik. "I am marrying a womb," he quipped. Marie-Louise bore a son, Napoleon II, in 1811. The emperor wept, declaring the boy king of Rome. Yet the dynastic triumph rang hollow. Josephine languished in exile, his sisters schemed against Marie-Louise, and Europe saw the marriage as proof of his insatiable ambition. "He has joined thieves to royalty," wrote a British spy, "but thieves always betray each other." By 1810, Napoleon ruled 70 million people from Lisbon to Warsaw. His family sat on thrones: Joseph in Spain, Louis in Holland, Jerome in Westphalia. Paris became Europe's cultural capital, a hub of neoclassical splendor where composers like Beethoven dedicated symphonies to him, later revoked. Yet oppression festered. Censorship: newspapers became state mouthpieces, books required imperial approval, conscription, millions of youths died in foreign wars, mothers cursed his name as secret police, Faucher spies infiltrated salons, tracking dissent with cold efficiency. The greatest threat lay in Spain. Napoleon's 1808 overthrow of the Spanish monarchy sparked a savage guerrilla war. Goya sketches captured the horror: peasants bayoneting French soldiers, civilians massacred in retaliation. "This also will destroy me," Napoleon confessed. It drained troops, funds, and morale, and revealed a truth: empires held by bayonets bleed to death. In 1811, Napoleon stood at his apex. His son was born, his code reshaped laws, his army seemed invincible. Yet shadows gathered. Britain remained defiant, funding rebels. Tsar Alexander reopened trade with Britain, mocking Tilsit. And in the salons of Paris, whispers grew: how long can a man outrun fate? Napoleon's reign redefined power. He proved a nation could be engineered through law, propaganda, and terror. He gifted Europe roads, museums, and administrative unity, but at the price of blood and liberty. His coronation, Austerlitz, and Continental System were feats of will, yet each victory expanded the target on his back. The boy who had craved immortality now wore a crown heavier than lead. As he gazed at his infant son, he sensed the precipice. "I have carried the revolution wherever I went," he mused, "but revolutions are fires that consume their makers." Soon, the snows of Russia would test whether an empire forged in cannon fire could survive its own hubris. Next episode: the unraveling invasion of Russia, the battle of nations, and the fall of an empire.